So, yoga for relaxation. We're going to begin with a little mindfulness of the breath practice. And so it's a basic practice where we are practicing minding our breath or paying attention to our breath. And we do this to calm down, to reduce stress. So we start with a nice upright seated posture, or if you need to, you can lay down or sit in a chair. And we're going to find this nice, long, tall spine if you're seated upright. So taking the shoulders back and down, opening the chest and the heart, letting the shoulders drop from the ears, relaxing the arms and hands, and we find the sit bones. We want to untilt the pelvis. If we're tilting the pelvis forward, we're overly arching the back and it's putting pressure on the vertebrae. And if we're tilting the pelvis back, we're slumping and we're rounding. And again, that's putting pressure on the vertebrae. So untilting that pelvis. And when we do, you can find your sit bones underneath of you. So we're grounding into those sit bones. If you need to, you can just shrug out tension, shrug out your shoulders, just get loose, whatever you need to do to just let go of tension. We tend to hold it, the tension here in the neck and the shoulders and the upper body. So just let it all go. Taking a few deep breaths can help with that tension. Try taking your breath in through your nostrils and maybe out through your mouth for a few breaths. Imagine the physical tension leaving your body with each exhale. So we want to make sure that our face is relaxed, all the muscles in our face are relaxed and our jaw is relaxed, even the tongue just dropping down. And then again, the shoulders, neck, the arms resting, hands, fingers relaxed. Relaxing the belly and the low back, again finding that balance on the sit bones, untilting the pelvis. And then relaxing the base, the glutes, legs, feet, toes. So we're maintaining this upright, open, regal, naturally regal posture while we concentrate or focus on our breath. So we're taking now our attention, our mind to our breath and the sensations of the breath, the feeling of the breath entering and leaving the body. So if possible, breathing through the nostrils and feeling the breath coming in, into the nostrils, through the sinuses, filling the lungs, maybe the belly expands. And then feeling every sensation of the breath exiting. So we're using the breath and the breath sensations as a resting place for our mind, our busy, active, planning, remembering mind, and we're giving it a break. We're giving it a rest, and we're using the breath to rest on. This simple practice, mindfulness of the breath, has been proven scientifically to reduce stress and lower cortisol levels, that stress hormone that causes disease. This simple practice. So we're putting in the time to just breathe, come into stillness, and settle down and practice just staying present. If it helps you to keep your mind anchored on the breath, you can count your breaths from 1 to 10, or from 10 to 1. Or when you catch your mind getting busy or wandering away or planning or remembering, at that moment that you catch the mind, it's no longer on the breath, gently, without judging, bring it back, the mind back to the breath, and begin at 1 again, counting from 1. It helps to check in with the body again from time to time to make sure that you haven't taken on that tension again. If you're feeling tension in the body, check your posture, your pelvis, lengthen the spine. If you need to stretch out, you can quietly stretch out and find a new posture or a new position. So just a little bit longer here. This simple practice, mindfulness of the breath. We're bringing our attention back again and again. The mind will wander. There's no way that we can control that. That's a natural function. But we're so busy all the time, and we live in such a fast-paced world, society. This is healthy. To slow it down and train the mind to be present. So using the breath. A few more breaths here. So to continue our mindfulness practice here, we'll go ahead and stretch out, just slowly beginning to move the feet, the legs, stretch them out. And we're going to lay down. Now, all of us together, bringing it to the mat for a little bit more of a guided practice. And we're going to dig a little bit deeper into this practice and start to pay attention to what is arising. So a little insight practice here. So we want to, again, make sure that we're very comfortable. Releasing, again, any tension. If you need to stretch and move a little bit here, you can. If you need to readjust the way that you're laying. For example, if your low back bothers you here, you can bend your knees and lean the knees in. And that should relieve tension in the low back. You want to make sure the neck is comfortable so the chin comes slightly down. And we have our arms at our sides with the palms up, or you can rest the palms of your hands on your belly. So always the first step with this practice, the body scan. It's just a basic check through, checking through for tension anywhere in the body. And we'll start with the crown of the head and work our way down, all the way down to the toes. So relaxing the face, the brow, relax the area around the ears, the jaw, relax the tongue. Relax the neck so the chin again comes slightly down for a comfortable neck. And the shoulders, you can slide the shoulder blades down the back. Relax the arms, hands, and fingers. And then the belly and the low back. The buttocks and the leg muscles. So the feet and the legs drop open. And then again, we bring it to the breath. So the second step of this practice is taking the attention to the breath and the breath sensations once more. Maybe it feels a little different now that we're laying down. We're breathing naturally. We want to use our lungs to their fullest capacity without forcing them at all. So it's a natural way of breathing, a full way of breathing. And then just checking in with our overall sense of being today or this morning. What is our state of mind? What's our emotional state? Do we have a feeling of being calm, at peace, settled? Or do we have a lot of energy? Or do we have stress or anxiety? So just checking in with the overall sense that you have at this time. And then we'll try sort of checking in with how we feel about that. Is it pleasant to us? Is it unpleasant to us? Or is it just neutral? Neither one. So are you feeling pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral? And see if you can just breathe into whatever feeling it is that you have. So letting go of any want for it to be different than it actually is. Allowing however you feel or whatever you're holding, allowing it to just be exactly as it is, breathing and letting go. We're letting go again of that need to change things as they are in this very moment. We're letting go of the need to control how we feel, or the need to control our environment, or the need to control those around us. So we're gently observing whatever arises, whether it's pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And it's a gentle observation. A non-judging, non-violent observation of the mind. So this is another way that we can recognize and reduce stress, and recognize and reduce additional suffering in our lives. It's our human nature, it's our natural human tendency to arrive with every situation with preconceived ideas about how it's going to go, or how it's going to feel, or how it's going to be, how the experience is going to unfold. Or we arrive with preconceived ideas about how people should act. And this causes a lot of suffering, a lot of extra unnecessary suffering and stress, because we cannot control our environment. It's impossible. So this practice, this insight practice, allows us to observe, notice how the mind works, notice these things, notice the ego. Gently observe without judging ourselves, without judging our mind. Having a sense of humor with ourselves, with our mind, and with others. Practicing compassion. And in this way, reducing stress, reducing suffering, letting go. So with this practice here, breathing and noticing what arises with the body, with the mind, with the emotions. Noticing what arises with your 5 senses and how you label things, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. And practice just breathing into whatever it is with that sense of humor, with that compassion towards yourself, towards your mind, towards your ego. Practice riding the wave of what this moment brings, of what life brings. And then here, before we begin to move and stretch, let's set our intention for how we'll take this practice with us off the mat. Our intention for the rest of our day or week. This practice of riding the wave and going about our daily activities off the mat and our encounters with others, and bringing this practice into our relationships, being mindful of what is arising, paying attention, noticing that need that we all have to push and pull, to control. And noticing how that causes suffering, and deciding whether or not that is serving us, whether or not it's serving others, or is it creating stress and aversion and grasping? Is it creating conflict? So with the intention, maybe there's something you need to do later today, or someone that you need to meet, a specific thing, or maybe later in the week, or maybe something really simple, just shopping at the grocery store. If you can imagine yourself in that situation, greeting the moment with an open mind and an open heart, breathing, noticing and being awake and aware, living awake and aware, and tapping into your wisdom, your inner wisdom that's there. Let's take a few more deep breaths here. Bring the mind back to the body and the breath now, and feel the breath coming and going. Let's begin to move the toes and the feet, the fingers, the hands. And just do what feels good right now. You can stretch like you're waking up in the morning. And when you're ready, we'll bend our knees and find our low back. So with the feet on the mat, knees bent, we'll press the low back into the mat. You can use your abdominal muscles to find the low back. And then lengthen the spine by gently drawing the chin down. And just hold there, breathing and lengthening the spine for a moment. From here, let's draw our knees in towards the chest. And maintaining that long spine here for a moment, drawing the chin down, keeping the low back on the mat. If you like here, you can look to one side. And then the other. And then we'll release these knees and take the legs up high. So we're aiming here for a gentle stretch in the backs of our legs. You can pedal your feet. You can straighten one leg at a time or bend one knee at a time. Or if you're ready for a deeper stretch, you can hold. Try holding the toes or the legs. We're pressing out through the balls of the feet, through the heels to find that nice stretch. So we want to listen to our bodies. We've been doing a lot of listening already, but now we want to be really careful with these stretches. We're going to move into some deep stretches, but only when your body's ready. So it's going to tell you, it's going to talk to you, and it's going to tell you what feels good and what doesn't. Listen, readjust. All right, let's try for a glute stretch now. So we're going to cross an ankle over a knee, and then just gently draw that in towards the chest for a little bit more of a stretch if you're ready for it. And then switch. And release. Let's bring our legs down and practice a full body stretch here. So we want to kind of press the glutes down towards the heels, slide the shoulder blades down the back again, and we'll take our arms overhead. So we want to kind of have the arms in line with the shoulders, as straight as possible, and the chin is slightly down. So we're lengthening, and then we're going to flatten down. So take your lower ribs and press them down into the body. So breathing here, you can release the ribs up on the inhale and relax the feet for a moment. And then on the exhale, toes point up, Press the ribs down, empty the lungs all the way. One more breath cycle here, moving deeper on the exhale. And then releasing this. We'll take our arms to our sides for a moment, palms up, let the legs and feet drop open, just regain a little bit of energy here and relax. And then we'll pull one knee in towards the chest. So we're going to leave one leg down in line with the hip, with the toes pointing up. We're pressing out through the heel on that straight leg, out through the balls of the feet. And with the bent knee, we're drawing it in as much as possible, maybe even outside your ribs. And then we'll switch that to the other side. Allowing tension to melt away as you breathe, allowing your body to deepen into the stretches if it feels good as you breathe. So releasing that leg down as well, and we're going to shake out the legs gently here. So let's cross our left ankle over our right. Left ankle over our right. And then we'll take our left arm up and over. So we're creating a C shape with the body, a C curve. And we're having that side body stretch, expanding the ribs. And maybe even getting a nice stretch all the way down the side of the hip. You want to be comfortable, so readjust if you need to. You can shift your legs a little bit off to the right to deepen. And let's release, come back to the center, and then we'll try that the other way. So crossing the right leg over, taking the right arm up and over. And again, just find a way that you can get the full benefit here. So there shouldn't be pain. It should be a nice, feel-good stretch. And releasing here. Let's find our low back again. So we're going to bend the knees and bring the feet to the mat and press the low back into the mat with our abdominal muscles. So we're not going to grab the knees and pull them in here, just finding the low back with the abs, pressing down and in. So nice long spine. And then from here, we're going to sit up. So however you feel comfortable with doing that, you can roll over onto your side and press off the floor, or use your abs to come upright. And we're going to flip over and bring it to tabletop. And we want to have the knees right under the hips, squared under the hips, and our wrists right under the shoulders. So check that out. Nice flat back, nice long spine for now. So make sure your knees aren't touching too close together. We want those squared nicely under the hips. And then to wake up our spine, let's practice cat-cow. So we're going to be opening the heart, opening the chest, sort of almost pressing the chest through the arms there and lifting on the sit bones. And that's the inhale. The exhale, rounding into cat. So we're pressing away from the mat. We're going to drop the head and gaze towards the navel
And we're dropping our sit bones. So you move at your pace. You can hold this, you can deepen, you can hold and deepen each pose, each posture. If it's feeling great. So we're looking for the full benefit in each pose and each posture, and that's going to be different for everyone. So let's make it really fun and moving and dynamic. So go ahead and just start moving any way your body feels good. So you could shift your hips back and forth from side to side. You could kind of shift forward, maybe back like you're going into child's pose. Just move. Working the spine. And then from here, we'll move to child's pose. So your child's pose, you can have your knees closer together, or if you take your knees wide, it's going to be a little easier on the low back. There's space then, if you take the knees wide, there's space for the belly between the thighs. So for this, we're pressing the hips gently towards the heels. Toes are together, big toes are together. And to extend this, we'll reach to the front, gripping the front of the mat. And then broadening the upper back, kind of draw the shoulder blades down and around. And then just releasing the arms, or rest your arms. You can have them at your sides or maybe tuck them in between the thighs and just have a rest like a baby or a child. And then from here to puppy pose or half dog. So we'll bring our knees back in under our hips, and we're gonna leave the knees, or the hips rather, up high above the knees for puppy pose. And we'll bring the forehead down to the mat. So for this, we're reaching to the front, and make sure your arms are comfortable. So rotate those arms to where they're comfortable. It could be palms down, could be palms facing in, or even palms up. And you can also bend the elbows here if you like, hands behind the head in prayer position. If you do, try walking the elbows forward a little bit. So this is the chest opener for you. You can allow your chest to just sink down, or you can even gently press it down towards the mat. Allow the sit bones to rise and just breathe and rest and let go physically. One more breath cycle here. And very slowly now, let's ease out back to tabletop and find a neutral spine. So nice and long. Crown of the head presses away from the tailbone here, nice flat back. And let's stretch one leg at a time back behind us. So just straighten out one leg behind you with the toes tucked, toes are down, and let's press back. So you can have a nice calf stretch here by pressing back. And then play around with the foot. You can kind of crunch your toes a little bit. Stretch your foot. See if you can stretch the top of your foot, pointing the toes back. Press from side to side with your heel. And then when you're done on that side, we'll try it on the other. And then again, when you're finished, we'll bring it back to tabletop. All right, for some deep lower body stretches here, leg stretches and hip flexor stretches, we'll take our left foot to the front. So if you need to, you can step it a little bit forward and then grab it and bring it the rest of the way. We're gonna have the knee over the ankle there in the front and the back leg straighter, a little bit straighter. If you have your knee under your hip, you won't get that nice hip flexor stretch here. So we're straightening out that back leg. A little bit more and finding the stretch here in the hip flexor. Cramp, it happens. If you cramp up, just change your position, work it out, massage it out. So we're mindfully looking for the benefit in everything we do, and we're remembering our breath, remembering to breathe. Here we're going to bend that back leg and straighten the front leg. So working on a little stretch for that front leg now. So you can, to deepen that stretch, you can point the toes up. And you can play around with this too. You can point the toes out or in. Maintaining a nice flat back, long spine. If you want to deepen the stretch here, we could leave our right hand down, turn towards the inner thigh, and reach up with the left. So we're pressing the hip back on this straight leg, just increasing that deep stretch in the gluteus maximus and all the way down the leg. Okay, easing out and back to tabletop. Take your time. And then we'll try it on the other side. So the right foot in the front. So the hip flexor stretch first for that back leg. You can play around with this as well, turning maybe towards the inner thigh. Maybe shifting your hips forward more to deepen the stretch. Maybe you want to come upright. And then again, for the front leg, we'll press back. So always listening. If you ever feel like it's too much, you can ease out or even just rest on the mat. So for deepening, this time we'll leave the left hand down, turn towards the inner thigh. And release. So bringing that leg back and now sitting. And gently shaking out the legs. So let's do some breathing with our upper body. If you can, let's sit
in a cross-legged position, but don't feel like you have to stay here. If it doesn't agree with you, listen to your body and just go ahead and stretch out your legs. You can do these movements also with your legs straight out in front of you. So we'll start by going side to side. First, sit tall, open the chest and heart, and then we're going to bring one hand down and one arm up and over. So just move nice and slow, especially at first, and check in. Check in, what's going on with the spine? How am I feeling? Maybe you want to go a little bit deeper. So to do that, you would bend your lower arm and lower it towards the floor, possibly, but we want to keep the sit bones grounded, both sit bones grounded on the mat. Let's add the breath. Inhale as you come up, and exhale as you deepen. One more on each side. And when you're done with your last one, we'll sit nice and tall. Take the arms overhead. Inhale. And exhale, bring the hands to the heart center. A couple more like that. And from here, we'll find our mat again. So let's lay down. We'll bring it to the back. Now take a minute for yourself, just doing whatever you feel like you need to do. If you need to stretch, maybe you're tight somewhere. You can take a moment now to find that stretch or whatever it is that your body needs right now, as long as it doesn't hurt. And when you're ready, it's time for relaxation, savasana. So again, we want to just be able to let go. It's important to find a comfortable position. If you need to bend your knees to relieve the low back tension, you can. We start with the body scan, so make sure you check through from the crown of your head all the way down through the body, out through the fingertips, and then out through the toes. Checking for tension, holding, unnecessary physical holding, and allowing it to melt away. So allowing your body to just come down with gravity here. And then finding the breath, breathing, finding that resting place. And maybe paying attention here to your five senses. What is arising from taste and smell, sight, sound, and touch or tactile sensation. Temperature, touch, gravity, touch. Allowing ourselves to just be here. There's nowhere we need to go, nothing we need to do, and no one that we need to be right now.
Let's remember that we have our breath. It's always with us. We always have our breath as that resting place when we're feeling stressed, anxious, overwhelmed, or scattered. We can get present and live awake and aware by simply sometimes just bringing it back to the breath, checking in, and being insightful of what it is that is arising. Breathing into it, having compassion for ourselves and others. So if you'd like to, again, take a moment here to set an intention. So the intention here is to bring this practice with us. It's not just, this practice is not just for the yoga setting, it's not just for the mat, not just for the cushion. We can practice being awake and present in everything we do and with everyone we meet, from loved ones to strangers. So once you've set your intention, we'll come up to a seated position. Once more, take your time. You can press off the floor if you need to. And here we take our hands to our heart center in prayer position, and we take a little bow to show that we see one another. We see the good that is there within us all. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you all for coming today.